I've worked as a gardener for over 10 years. You quickly learn how deep you're supposed to dig, and when you should stop. That day, I didn't stop, and I found something I will never forget. It started like any normal day. I was sitting in my car, coffee in my hands, flipping through a free newspaper from the gas station. A small article in the corner caught my eye for a moment. 2 years since little girl disappeared. Police still have no leads. I didn't read the rest. I just folded the paper, put it aside, got out of the car, and walked toward my first gardening job of the day. The morning air felt strangely heavy, like a storm that never arrived. Even the street was too quiet. No cars, no voices, just the faint sound of leaves moving somewhere far away. The house was on the edge of town, a quiet street, a garden that had been neglected for a long time. Windows dark, curtains drawn, the kind of place that feels empty, but still watched. My task was simple: remove some dead bushes and level the soil. But the moment I pushed my shovel into the ground, something felt wrong. The soil was loose, like someone had dug there before. Not recently, but not long ago either. The kind of disturbed earth that hasn't decided whether to settle or reveal what's underneath. I kept working without thinking too much about it. People bury strange things in gardens. Then my shovel hit something hard. Not stone, not concrete. Wood. I brushed the dirt away with my hands and found a flat panel with a rusty handle. A hatch. My first instinct was to pretend I hadn't seen it. Close the soil, finish the job, leave. But the longer I stared at that handle, the more it felt like it was waiting for me. I should have stopped there, covered it back up, ignored it, but I opened it. A heavy, sickly sweet smell rose from the darkness below. A narrow staircase led down into a basement I never knew existed. The smell wasn't just rot. It was something preserved, trapped, like air that hadn't been allowed to escape for years. I don't know why I went down there. Maybe because the silence in the garden suddenly felt worse than the darkness. My footsteps disappeared into the room, like the sound was being swallowed. At the end of the basement stood a locked metal door. I walked toward it carefully, tried the handle. Locked. The metal was warm, unnaturally warm, like it had felt human touch recently. I stood there for a long time, staring. Then I knocked. At first, nothing. And then, faint crying. A child. I froze. My whole body went cold. "Hello?" I whispered. The crying continued. Low, desperate. So quiet I almost thought I imagined it. But imagination doesn't make your hands shake like that. At that exact moment, I heard a click behind me. I slowly turned around. An old surveillance camera was mounted on the ceiling. Before, it had looked dead. Now, a tiny red light was blinking. Slowly, like someone had just turned it on, watching, waiting. My heart started pounding faster and faster. And then, I ran up the stairs. My feet slipped. I slammed my shoulder into the wall. I reached the hatch and pulled it open, light flooding down. I stumbled into the garden, then out to the road, without stopping. But then, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around. The owner of the house stood at the edge of the garden, completely still for a moment. His face had no expression. Not anger, not confusion, just calm. Then he started sprinting straight toward me. I ran again, faster than I had ever run before. I could hear his shoes hitting the pavement behind me, not gaining distance, but closing in. My chest burned, my legs shook. Suddenly, he stopped, right before the road. He just stood there, watching me, as I kept running down the street, and somehow, that was worse than if he had kept chasing me. I didn't stop until I reached the police station. The words poured out of me. Basement, door, child. They left immediately. 2 officers and I drove back to the house in a patrol car. The siren was off. Everything felt unnaturally quiet. No radio chatter, no questions, just the sound of tires on asphalt, like we were driving towards something none of us wanted to see. The house was dark when we arrived. No one answered the door. They went in anyway. I led them to the hatch, down into the basement. My heart pounded as we reached the bottom. The metal door was open. The officers shined their lights inside. The room was empty. No furniture, no beds, nothing. Just 4 cold concrete walls. And that same sweet smell. But on the floor, there were faint marks. Long, thin scratches. The kind made by fingernails. Trying to hold on to something as it's taken away. We went back upstairs, and the police searched the entire house. The owner was gone. No sign of a child. The camera was gone. Nothing. They said I must have been mistaken. That shock can make you see things that aren't there. I didn't argue, but some nights, I still wake up to the sound of faint crying. And I think about the small article in the newspaper that morning. The girl who disappeared 2 years ago. Maybe it was her? Because I know one thing for certain. There was something behind that door.